Yeah, a bit of a talker too, Tom. A university study says Dare County should consider buying out oceanfront properties in Rodanthe instead of pouring millions into ongoing beach renourishment. But the county manager says a buyout would not solve the problem.
It would be less expensive to buy those properties and tear them down than it would be to try and hold the shoreline in place in front of them.
Rob Young studies shoreline erosion in several areas, including Rodanthe on the Outer Banks.
It has one of the highest erosion rates on the U.S. East Coast, 10 to 15 feet a year.
In recent years, 4 oceanfront properties have become property of the ocean.
When one of those houses tumbles onto the beach, it is falling into a national park, literally. And then it creates a 7-mile-long debris stream of fiberglass insulation and roofing nails and septic tanks.
And Young says, just like the tides, the collapses will continue.
If we get a tropical storm during this tropical storm season, or a big nor'easter this fall or early winter, more houses are going to fall in, and they are going to rain debris down the beach into Cape Hatteras National Seashore.
But the Dare County manager says a buyout program doesn't look beyond the horizon.
And it's a solution for those houses that are today imperiled, but it's not a solution for those houses that are imperiled in 5 years or in 10 years, because the sand and the erosion is going to continue to move to the west. And just buying the oceanfront houses doesn't solve the problem for what would then be the next row of oceanfront houses.
How about beach nourishment by bringing in more sand?
As we speak, we don't have sufficient funds in our budget to do a nourishment project here in Dare County.
OUTTEN says it would take about $40 million, and that's just the first wave.
$40 million and then about 25 million, 30 million every 5 years thereafter.
Dare County will work with the Army Corps of Engineers to see if federal funds are available. OUTTEN says the priority, though, must be protecting NC Highway 12, the only access to the area. That vital roadway is vulnerable to ocean overwash. And should either the local, state, or federal governments involved here opt for any scale of a buyout program at all?
For some reason, people who buy pieces of property on rapidly eroding shorelines that are vulnerable to coastal storms somehow have this expectation that somebody is going to protect that investment for them.
Now, coming up later in this newscast, you'll meet 2 of the property owners in Rodanthe, and they don't think it's any government's responsibility to bail them out if the water gets too high. I'll see you then. Tom and And welcome back. Earlier in this newscast, I showed you how homes in Rodanthe on the Outer Banks are so close. And look at that, a car right in between the surf and the bottom of their steps. The latest one to end up falling into the pounding surf was just about 5 months ago. But that is not stopping people from buying.
Sometimes you just want to run into the ocean. Sometimes the ocean just wants to run into you. At Julie Clark's home at the north end of Rodanthe, you don't look out at the Atlantic, you look down at it.
I'm in love with the place.
She bought the home about 2 years ago.
It's just like a postcard.
But Clark realizes that when you're this close, you can already feel the ocean's effects.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, particularly.
You can feel it move?
You can definitely, but they told me that's what it's supposed to do.
We were there on a relatively calm day about an hour after high tide. Proximity comes with its own special costs.
Completely redo the septic tank one time and pump it out twice because it was full of sand.
You are kind of one with the ocean here, aren't you?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best place in the world.
Clark says she's going through the process of trying to move the home back as far as possible on her lot.
I can actually move it back about 50 feet, and I heard that'll give me about another 10 years. Some of the ones just adjacent to me have moved already. You just don't know what the ocean's going to do.
But you know what it can do. Turned 4 Rodanthe homes into streams of rubble in recent years. Beach Renourishment is working here in Avon, that's half an hour south of Rodanthe. Clark has a second investment property here. Mike Harrington is Clark's brother-in-law.
As far as you can see, kind of each way, it's built up this berm in front of these houses.
He and his wife bought this investment property in Rodanthe last fall, so the family has 3 homes on the Outer Banks. They're from Washington, the state, not the city. Why buy homes 3,000 miles away from home?
In the Northwest, where we are.
Yeah.
Season's a lot shorter, and the water's a lot colder.
Yeah. And during peak season, their homes rent for $5,000 to more than $12,000 a week. A geologist from Western Carolina University says property owners have an undeniable reality.
You are going to retreat. There's no doubt about that. The question is whether that retreat is going to be in a managed fashion or in an unmanaged fashion.
Young's research found it would be cheaper for Dare County to buy out the property owners instead of renourishing the beach over time. But Clark says no government owes her a buyout if she can't move her house in time.
It's our responsibility. It's, we should have done our research.
County Manager Bobby OUTTEN says a buyout program by itself is not a solution. Meanwhile, property owners are on the fence. Do they ride it out or get out?
It's a cost-benefit analysis that an owner has to make.
Over the past 30 years, the manager of the Rodanthe Pier has seen it all.
Mother Nature always wins.
Nature always wins, yes.
I think everybody kind of has that yearning to be near the ocean.
Now, Rodanthe is part of a national seashore, and Dare County is looking into getting federal funds for a beach renourishment program. Price tag, $40 million, and that's just a start. We have the university study right now on wavy.com. Chris Horn, 10 on your side.